fear. There will be no technical problems. That's real. We're going ahead and recording. We are recording, and now I'm going to intro the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Ace Micheals Show. I'm Ace Micheals, happy to be here with you and for you and all about you. It's all about you. It's really your experience, not mine. I'm just part of it. I'm the co-star, if anything. And what's going on is if you ever want to be on the show, please be on the show. I dare you. Bring it. We'd love to speak with you. We'd love to hear what you have to say, even if it's ranting and raving. I still like that kind of stuff. And that's the best way to get it off your chest, is to be a guest. Speak your mind, voice your opinions, political ideas, suggestions, convictions, beliefs, all that belongs here on this stage. Today, my guest is Philena Carter. Woohoo! Philena Carter is back on the show again, y'all. We love
Hello.
her. She's so much fun to have. Philena Carter, welcome back to the Ace Micheals
Thanks.
Show.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's a big pleasure. Big pleasure. So, Philena, obviously we know from our experience with you that you are a music artist to boot, and always writing and performing and playing, doing, that stuff that artists do. You're an artist, man. I get it. But today, our theme of this week's show has been women empowerment. And we're trying to talk to women about the experience of being a woman, because I'll never know what it's like to maybe have the glass ceiling in front of me, or someone tell me I can't do something because I have breasts. Like, I don't know what that feels like because I've never even experienced it at all. So we'll start with that. Are there any limitations that you feel as a woman in your career that can't be surmised, that you go, damn it, I know they're not going to let me do that because I'm a woman?
Yeah, there absolutely are. I hate to say it too. It's something that I've kind of experienced, especially in Las Vegas. I never really noticed it when I was in Oklahoma because I wasn't doing music at the time. But out here, I feel like the biggest setback is being taken seriously. It's difficult. It's not so much people telling me I can't do something, but more when I say that I want to do something, not being taken seriously about it.
So, I mean, give me an example of that, because I have a different experience. Being a guy, I would say there's doors that are closed to me automatically because I'm not a girl in a band. Like, I've seen,
Sure.
quite frankly, I've seen some horrendous singers in Las Vegas, but they're attractive and they're gigging. And I'm trying to gig, and I'm like, I don't understand why she gets a gig, and I understand why she gets a gig.
Right. Yeah. So it very much goes both ways. So there's huge benefits and there's huge setbacks. I've experienced a lot of the opposite, where I say that I want to do something, or I say I want to accomplish something, and I'm not taken seriously about it. But I've seen on a lot of occasions women get gigs because of superficial things, and it definitely goes both ways. There's a benefit and a curse to it, I think.
Now, I want to say something. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you know it, act like you don't. Just go, But your sister in the business, Beyonce Knowles, now she's doing good, in my opinion. She's doing very good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But she says, and was quoted saying, that a man doing the same job that she's doing right now would get paid more. She said there's no way that a man in the same position wouldn't make more than her. I don't know how there would be a man in the same position. In my opinion, she's the top. She's literally leading everything. But she's saying that if there was a man, automatically he'd make more money than her. Do you agree with that?
It's difficult for me to say because I'm kind of in the low ranks of the the music industry.
Right.
So I mean, I can't really argue with Beyonce.
You're like, she's eating caviar and I'm eating hummus. I don't know what.
Yeah, and I mean, she sees a lot more of the behind the scenes of the business. From my perspective, just like on the level that we're at right now, I would say there's a little bit of truth to that, but I've also been told a lot of things about how the pay rate works, and how you market yourself, and the importance of building a product. And I feel like with my situation in my band, I've been able to kind of overcome some of those things. I've met plenty of men that are very talented here in the music scene that are making quite a bit less than me. And the opposite. Like there have been situations where I'm making quite a bit less. And I feel like what there is to learn about that is less about the gender card and more about how to create a product that's marketable and market yourself. I didn't know how to ask for money until last year.
Wow.
And
Okay.
well, maybe
That's a
maybe
whole nother show.
yeah, maybe 2 years ago now. Maybe 2 years ago is when we started actually making profit from what we're doing and
Yeah.
things like that. So there is a lot to do with the gender card, but I think a lot of it has to do with like I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but as a woman growing up, I never learned how to comfortably negotiate that part of business.
Mm.
I don't know if it's because I'm a female or how much of that is because I'm a female or how much of it is just because that was my missing piece, you know?
You know,
I think it could be equal if we just like figure out how to market ourselves.
it's interesting. When I came to Las Vegas, one of the first what I thought were weird experiences because I started my music career in Los Angeles, where it's a totally different type of music
Right.
industry. And
Yeah.
so when I came to Vegas, I remember a bass player telling me, my first bass player I hired, he was a great guy, but I remember he said flat out, he goes, well, if we're going to make this band work, we need some girls. And
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I actually laughed. I laughed at that. I was like, right, right. And he was dead stone-faced serious. He was like, no, you're not going to get booked unless there's at
Right.
least one girl in the band, whether she's a DJ or a go-go dancer or something. You got to have a girl if you want to get booked in Vegas. And I think he was right. I mean, we ended
Yeah.
up hiring girls to be in the band, and they didn't do as much as the guys did in the band ever.
Right.
But that's not true. There was one girl who was a phenomenal singer, and she was pretty much the lead singer of the band. When I wasn't singing, she took over and she killed it. But aside from her, every time we hired a girl, it was like, well, this girl's really cute. She doesn't sing so great, or she doesn't dance so great, or she does this and this, but she's a girl. And the book
Yeah.
would look at the promo and be like, hey, you got a girl? Okay, well, let's start you guys on Friday night. You know?
Right.
And
And women have an aesthetic benefit for sure, right? You get
hey,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
we
Did I leave
definitely
that out?
have the aesthetic benefit, but it's like I feel like, and again, I can only speak for myself, we're lacking the negotiation aspect, which guys are naturally more aggressive and more, maybe aggressive is the wrong word, but they're better negotiators in general. Maybe that's unfair of me to say
But
about women.
that is unfair because I want to throw this at you. I just literally got off another interview where we were talking about a similar thing, and the point came up about imagine 100 years ago or even longer. Okay, women were in positions of power. Like we had Queen Elizabeth, we had
Right.
Cleopatra, we had uh, what's her name, Joan of Arc, Helen of Troy. I mean, all of these women throughout history were leaders. So where did we get to the point where all of a sudden women could only be cooks, secretaries,
Right.
nurses, and like what happened? I mean, we were
Right.
completely comfortable with women running things.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And the only place I can speak from is like the way, comparing the way I was raised to other places that I've seen. And I know that there are a significant amount of locations still left where women, they're not necessarily taught to be in the kitchen and raise families, and that's what we do.
Oh my
But
God, Philena,
it's just a gender thing that happens naturally. What?
I'll have to edit this out, but I'm in Big Bear, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't believe this unless you've seen it. Now they're already gone. Right out the window was a pack of 5 big ass raccoons. If you can
I
imagine,
love
they were huge. They were
raccoons.
dog-sized raccoons, and they're just strolling through the back area here in like a mean, angry pack. Like, don't fuck with the raccoon. Whatever they're about to do, we gonna let them because
Yeah.
they're running in a pack of 5. That's
That's crazy. That's
they
intimidating.
literally walked right by the window here, so that's why I got distracted. It was so weird for me to see something like 5 raccoons, big ass raccoons, like they gonna wreck shop.
We used to have
Uh,
a lot where I grew up, like next to my grandmother's house. There were always skunks, raccoons, and possums all over the place.
and don't mess with them. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
Like
mess with
they're
them.
vicious animals. Like they're not a joke. Like raccoons will mess you up. Like
They
seriously.
will mess you up.
I'm gonna go a lead-in question. Sorry about it. I did get distracted. I've never in my life I've never seen something like that. Five raccoons in a pack, and they were all like shoulder to shoulder. Like it was like a Michael Jackson video. Like raccoons in a Michael Jackson style format, ready to go kick ass out here in the wilderness. It's crazy.
That's when you know they mean business.
They do mean business, apparently. So lead in. I'm gonna ask you about this. What women throughout your career have influenced you? You know, were you motivated by Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight? Like, what women made you say, you know what, this is a career for me, and if they can do it, I can do it?
Alicia Keys was my first one, because she really came from nothing, and I thought that it was beautiful the way that she showed her story. More recently, Amanda Palmer from the Dresden Dolls has been probably my biggest inspiration since I found her. I don't remember who introduced me to her, but she recreated the way that you should market yourself, I think. And so I think of marketing as a very technical thing, and I never really thought of it as more on the art side of things. The way that she did it, she started as a street performer, started a punk cabaret band, which was not a popular genre by any means. It was performance art. It was like punk cabaret, and every show was like a big thing. It was like a huge performance. And she started in dive bars, didn't really know how to do things on her own. She's got a really cool TED Talks that's talking about that, how it's okay to ask, you know. And she talks a little bit about the woman's role in that as well, which a lot of times we're conditioned to not ask. So she goes through this beautiful story about how she was a street performer once, for a very long time, and she learned through that experience that telling people what you want back and kind of setting the expectation is okay. It's to normalize that conversation is okay. Anyway, she's my biggest inspiration. Absolutely amazing. Her TED Talks is the coolest thing ever.
Now, speaking of normalizing, what was it like growing up being someone who was considered like a little different? Like, you know, clearly that makes you stronger because you end up doing a lot of things on your own or doing a lot of things that people won't give you credit that you could achieve. But at the same time, you're still doing those things alone.
I mean, it had its ups and downs. I went through a couple of different phases when I was in school, and I started out very confident. My imagination was active. I got in trouble at a Christian school that I was going to when I was in kindergarten for giving kids tours of the playground. And I was very much a leader personality. And then somewhere along the line, I think it was maybe third or fourth grade, I started getting bullied pretty hard, just because of my imagination. Kids started taking things more seriously. They started noticing each other, and we look different, and the child innocence kind of went away, I guess, and the harsh reality of I'm a little weird started slipping through the cracks. I kind of crumbled for a little while when that happened because I wasn't really used to the bullying from other kids. I always used that environment as an outlet to like get creativity out. I was guiding these little kids through this really big, elaborate, created scene on the playground, and I went from that confidence to like nothing at all, just because kids are so mean.
Mm-hmm.
I had like thick glasses, and I was the weird kid suddenly. And then I remember it was middle school. I started to embrace it a little bit. My grandmother pretty much let me wear whatever I wanted to, do my makeup however I wanted to. So I started embracing the weird and went on the angsty goth kid angle for a little while. And I just remember no matter what I did to my looks and no matter what I did to my aesthetic, everybody told me I'd grow out of it. It's like always, it's a phase.
Very
And like,
encouraging, huh?
yeah, like my
Oh, don't
school
worry, you'll
counselor,
probably. Yeah,
right. My school counselor even told me that. And she was someone that I really looked up to, you know, and still to this day look up to for the way that she communicated with me. But there were some things like you could just dress normal and the kids won't make fun of you. And, you know, like what is normal? We talked about that a lot on the last time I was on here. Like what is normal?
and it's not funny the way that we judge women, because if we said that we didn't judge women, we'd be full of lies.
If we
Because
said we didn't judge men, we'd be
women are
full of
judged.
lies.
Yeah, but men aren't judged nearly as harsh as women. I remember one of my great favorite comedians, Amy Schumer. I love Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
And Amy Schumer said on stage one night, she said, you know, I was wearing a bathing suit at a beach, which is where it's appropriate to wear a bathing suit. And I got photographed by a national magazine. And when the magazine came out, the caption read, "Isn't she brave?" You know,
I
and
hate
it's like,
that.
that's not really what you want to hear. Like when you're wearing a bathing suit,
Yeah.
what makes me
Yeah.
brave? I'm just wearing a bathing suit. But it's because, you know, we see a lot of these characters. And I want to bring this up too. This is probably not related, but I'm going to make it be related. You know, the Kanye West Kim Kardashian relationship is going through some drama because he's said some things that are embarrassing things, and he's run for president. And Kim Kardashian is saying publicly she's going to divorce him because he's an embarrassment to her, and she's got a public image to maintain, and it doesn't include all of that. Well, to me, that's the same superficiality as someone saying, well, I'm going to divorce you because you put on 10 pounds, and when I married you, you were a supermodel. And I'm unhappy with that. Like, you can't gain weight and be my wife. You know, these
I've dated someone that has said that to me before, by the way.
that you were to maintain a certain look if you were going to be his girlfriend.
Like if I gain weight, like a significant amount of weight, they'll leave.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And it's just like it's a normal thing that is heard in media. It's heard in personal relationships.
Right. Right. And what does that do to your self-esteem, number one? And what does that do to your contribution as a talented person? I mean, you are a great singer. You're a great songwriter. You're a performer. You're one of the narrow margin of people who can get up on a stage in front of a room full of strangers and perform music with a band backing you. You know how many few people can do that? Not everybody can do that. That's not something you're born knowing how to do. But if you're able to do that, that says a lot. And how marginalizing to say you can do all that, but you need to wear a shorter miniskirt because we're trying to sell drinks. Boom, 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 boom. I figured something that
So
happened.
what had happened was, I'm calling you from the freezer right now,
Freezer.
because Las Vegas heat has overheated my telephone.
Oh yeah, that sucks. I
Shut
figured
up.
that's why I don't like to do live shows anyway. I like to do edited because something always happens.
Yeah, sorry. We
Um,
were in good conversation too. My
yeah,
roommate walked in and I'm like plugged into the refrigerator and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, this is normal."
this is yeah, this is
And he's
real.
like, "Okay, I'm not gonna ask you."
Well, let's pick it up from. So I was asking about being marginalized by your looks, like the fact that you can do all these wonderful, talented, amazing things, and then somebody says, well, you need to be able to do all that and wear a shorter skirt, or you need to be able to do all
Right.
that while you also have to look sexy. And let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Because that's a real thing too. Like, you know?
I'm so sorry. Give me just a second to get my life together, Ace Michaels. Jeez.
That's okay.
Honestly.
I like when you say Ace Michaels. So, is that a big pressure? I guess is the question. Is are you put under pressure to have to look hot while also performing hot?
Uh, I mean, yeah, it's it's always kind of been a thing, and like previously when we've talked about promoters and things like that, you're generally received a little bit different. If you're not a pretty face, it's difficult to get in. It's difficult to get in places. It's one of the benefits of being a chick, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there's social standards you have to stick to, or people tear you down. And frankly, I don't care about those.
Would you
Um,
ever want it to be different though? Like, would you ever want somebody to say, you're expected to carry the same weight, no matter how pretty you are. That's not the point. Um, because being the girl in a male-led band, you're always going to be on the poster. You're going to be front and center of everything. But what if it wasn't that way? What if your drummer was the one that was going to be front and center, and you were going to be just kind of in the background? Would you like that?
yeah, yeah. As long as we're making really great music, I don't care where I'm standing. And honestly, my drummer's kind of pretty, so he could totally make it. It'd be fun. He's funnier than me too, so it's like maybe one day that'll happen. But he's gonna have to dye his hair. He's working on a mullet right now, which is good. I'm gonna put it in the band contract that he can't get rid of it.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't matter where I stand as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make music that heals people and makes them feel good. And I don't care where I'm at.
Hey, and the name of the band is Stanley Avenue. You guys have some music that's out. You have some more music that's coming out. You're waiting for the world to open back up so you can get back out and dominate the stage. How do we catch you on social media if we want to pleasantly stalk you? If there's some place in the bushes we can sleep at night, like give us the 411. What's up?
Well, our social media on Facebook, we're Stanley Ave, like AVE, like the Avenue. On Instagram, we're Stanley Ave LV, like Las Vegas. On everything else, we're Stanley Ave LV. We have a Patreon too, which is pretty cool. That's where we're releasing things first.
Nice.
Also Stanley Avenue. YouTube, Stanley Avenue. That's it.
I see a pattern there. It's pretty much a Stanley Avenue
Yeah.
type of thing. I got you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Is.
today's show was Philena Carter, lead singer, vocalist from Stanley Avenue, singer-songwriter du jour. And that's what's up. And if you guys want to follow her, please do. If you ever want to be on the show, please do that. We're at the end. You know what I say at the end? Live the life you love the life you live. Thank you. Yay.
Sorry for all the interruptions. I
Oh, that's fine.
threw